Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of Sketch Watch Play. My name is John Fleury.
And I'm Christopher Wade.
And it's been a while.
It's been an eternity, it feels like.
Yep. I want to both apologize and thank everyone who is a fan of the show and has been waiting for us to get back to this. Mm-hmm. As you would assume, real-life commitments got in the way. And actually, we tried to record last week. I think it was Wednesday?
It was sometime it felt like a couple days ago. I think it was, yeah. And
at the last minute, I couldn't remember the exact right setup to record both my mic and my desktop with Skype. Mm-hmm. So we took a break and reconvened for me to look it up. It was actually very simple, so I'm writing that down for future reference. But Chris, it's been quite a while. So have you had any little stories of what you've been up to in the past month or so?
Just a whole bunch of technical difficulties on my end as well. Mm-hmm. I've mentioned this to you a couple times already, John. I've been working on an animated film for quite the little bit.
Yeah.
And I was actually getting ready to finish up the third act. And I had all of my sounds and voices recorded, and everything was dropped in and felt nice. And then when I did a review, all the lines that I had recorded of myself using my Samsung mic, it made everything sound very echoey. So and I realized finally that we got thin walls. So there's not a lot of absorption on these walls like I had in my last apartment. So I just got sound bouncing all across my apartment, going right back into the microphone. So everything just sounded really crappy. I wound up making a small sound booth into my closet and picking up one of these babies. This is a Zoom Handy Recorder H4n. It's a portable microphone, so it records everything through the top on these two. To the top of the microphone itself. It's got two microphones on the top of the device. And just with an SD card, you put everything, you record all your lines in here. And of course, the biggest deal was having like a small booth for me to do it. So I had to get some more soundophones so I can actually have my sound absorbed before I re-enter the mic.
Wow.
But seems like everything's working out okay. So I'm going to dedicate this baby here, the mic I'm currently recording on. I'm going to dedicate it mostly for Skype and podcasting. Yeah.
Yeah, it actually does. You do sound quite a bit clearer. I'm not getting any like white noise anymore.
That's cool. Yeah. I don't know what.
Second. I'm going to make sure our volume is good. So stay quiet for 10 seconds. All right, we're good. So that's I'm glad to hear about that, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of the film whenever it's done, because I'm still working on some like kind of similar passion project.
Yeah, I heard.
I'll fill you in more on it. Maybe next time we meet, or if we talk before the show again, because I know you're on a schedule when we record these. The main geek thing I did was a friend invited me to KatsuCon, which was at National Harbor, same location as MagFest. I think I mentioned her in the MagFest episode. She cosplaying is like one of her biggest hobbies. So for this, she went as a different DC character each day.
Oh, cool. What'd she go as?
First, she was Speedy from Arrow, sidekick between Arrow. Then she was the Justice League version of Wonder Woman, like the cartoon colors.
Nice.
The last day, she was movie version with the darker colors and cape.
Cool.
And I was initially hesitant about going because I thought you'd have to pay to be there at all. And she said, no, I do what I did for MagFest. I didn't pay for a badge, but I could still roam the halls. So
you just can't enter the special events or anything.
She did lend me her badge for a time where she was going to do some photo shoots. And I saw because this sounds too good to miss. I think I've talked about how I'm a lover of so bad it's good stuff in like film. And it was kind of a so bad it's good anime panel where a guy he showed that. Have you ever heard of Doozy Bots?
Doozy Bots.
Look it up sometime. It never got past the pilot level. It was an attempt to make an American cartoon like the early 90s out of Gundam to introduce it to the US, where like a bunch of stereotypical teens, like a cheerleader, a guy in a wheelchair, were possessed the bodies of SD Gundams.
Oh, Jesus.
There's a spectacular, new comedy action series coming in the fall of 1991. Hey kids, get ready for...
Was this in the same era as that Americanized Sailor Moon that they were trying to create?
It was a little bit before that, I think. Like 89, 90, 91, but right before it. And thankfully nothing ever came of it either, but it's hilarious. But that wasn't the main event. He showed and did kind of a riff on this thing called Vampire Wars, like some obscure early 90s direct-to-video anime. And it was nonsense. The main character's name was Kooky. Kooky. And, which is really funny to Americans. The dub is ridiculous. There's this one henchman who sounds exactly like Dr. Claw for no reason.
Nice. That's exactly what I want to hear.
It has a crazy plot where he's protecting a pop star who turns out, along with the vampires who are hunting her, to all be aliens. And I swear to God, when the main vampire gives the backstory, it's basically the same as that South Park Scientology Xenu thing. All these crazy terms being thrown about galactic wars and lores and stuff. It's glorious.
Awesome.
And the other thing I that we forgot to mention when I talked about MagFest, I didn't bring it up because it wasn't online yet. I ended up doing an impromptu guest in a YouTube video.
Oh, I think I saw that. What was that video?
It is a guy named Some Call Me Johnny. I met him at MagFest last year too. I think he lives in Philadelphia, but he commutes here. And he's a really cool guy. I like him because he's very subdued compared to what you think of when you think of game reviewers, which I asked him. He said, I'm not good at pulling off angry humor, so I just be myself.
He just plays it straight. I like that.
There are some really good episodes where he gets angry. Did you ever see his Echo the Dolphin episode?
I didn't see his Echo the Dolphin episode. And it's funny. Yeah.
I think he just saves it for when he really needs it.
I think I saw a couple of his well, he's been on, I mean, as of this recording, he's been on a bit of a Sonic era kind of rush. He's been doing a marathon.
Sonic's his favorite series, so he's reviewed almost every game. Lately, he's been finishing up a lot of the spin-off games, handheld, racing.
Yeah, and every so often, he'll get a little miffed at some of the Sonic stuff, which is justifiable. Sonic is one of my favorite franchises, so
and even though he loves it, he's not blind to when a game in it is bad. Even though he can, like he said, like I was able to find good in 06, but it's still a mess overall. And so, but to bring it back, he was doing a video on the Sonic Advance trilogy because he was doing all the handheld Sonic platformers and games actually. And he tweeted earlier the same day at MagFest, hey, I'm going to be in this fountain area, meet up, and you can tell me your Sonic Advance memories. And so he got us all of us in line and asked things like, what's your favorite? What are your least favorite memories? What are some things you blah, 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 and edited them together in the later portions. So I pop up in the last 5-10 minutes along with a bunch of others. And it was fun. He's a very chill guy. One thing I wish he had like really incorporated, he had us, there's a shot of us all making like grossed out faces.
Yeah.
And, he didn't really give it any context in the video, but I think he want to waste it. He told us, imagine you're staring at Trump in his birthday suit.
Oh.
That did the job, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's another one we had oh, no, he didn't use it. He had us all do the Sega.
Yeah.
And then the 90s, Sega! Like in those old commercials, but I think he didn't find a spot to put them. So that was fun.
Yeah,
and,
it looked like you guys had a lot of fun answering all the questions that he gave to you guys. Me and Serena caught that episode relatively recently, and when you showed up, I was I know that guy.
I hadn't told you. I don't think.
You hadn't told me at that point. So I just kind of yelled it, and then I was like, I got to tell John that I saw him online. I saw him on YouTube.
I wish you recorded that. But you couldn't have known.
No, I would not. I wish that I had the psychic force sense of knowing one of my friends was going to be in a YouTube video of people that I regularly subscribe to.
I'm still trying to work on my own YouTube reviews. I just have a lot of other passion projects going.
Yeah, you and me both, brother.
Yeah, story of our lives. But to get into, for getting back to our tradition of each talking about what kind of media we've been consuming before the main event.
Yeah.
I've actually seen it twice now, the Lego Batman movie.
Hi, Batman! No way! Come catch your greatest enemy.
Superman is my greatest enemy.
Superman's not a bad guy!
Then I'd say that I don't currently have a bad guy. I am fighting a few different people. I like to fight around.
Oh.
And as both a big fan of Batman and one of many who was surprised by how good the first Lego movie was, Lego Batman follows in that tradition. It's a far more satisfying movie for a Batman fan than Batman v Superman.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's an admittedly low bar to set.
I know.
But Yes, that's what I've been hearing. Like, it's a better Batman movie than the bigger mainstays that DC and Warner Brothers have been putting out. Will Arnett plays a really petty Batman, and I'm really happy about that.
Like, they're allowed to, because it's a full-on cartoon in both its look and just its approach and everything.
Yeah.
They're allowed to make the most unrepentant asshole Batman you've ever seen. Like, he's not abusive like in those All-Star comics, whatever, but he's the most egotistical, like, not thinking about anyone but himself character. And they do so many fun things with it. And the other main characters. I'll say it right now. This is my favorite version of Robin.
Good.
Michael Cera plays him, and he's this adorable, wide-eyed, energetic little goof. And
that's good.
He's so appealing. Barb Gordon is with Rosario Dawson. She's pretty cool. She's the straight man, so she has many funny moments. And I actually really liked Ray Fiennes' Alfred. He kind of sticks to what you expect from Alfred too, but they do some funny things you might want to expect with him later on. And Zach Galifianakis is as good as the Joker for the kind of movie this is.
Really, I didn't realize that Zach was going to be the Joker.
Oh, you didn't know?
No,
there
are
a lot of.
I'm sure they said it. I'm sure they said it in the trailer.
Do you know about Two-Face?
No.
They got Billy D. Williams to voice Two-Face.
Billy D. Williams is Two-Face?
Finally.
But
for like 4 lines. But it's a nice touch to finally, like, hey, better late than never.
Awesome. I'm a bit more excited about the film now.
That's a very minor, like, a lot of the lesser villains get like 3 or 4 lines each. It's not about them. There's a lot of there are a lot of interesting ones. I think they got a girl to voice Clayface.
Ooh,
which is very random because it's still the same Clayface. And there's some other, there are a lot of other, smaller roles with big names. Like, what's the name? Have you watched The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt?
I caught about 4 or 5 episodes of Kimmy Schmidt. I actually didn't find it all that entertaining.
I watched the first episode. It's not my thing, but I might look at it. But Kimmy plays her actress is a character that's
okay.
And not to get into spoilers, but kind of, since I think they're still going with the idea of this like Lego multiverse that the first movie established, you get some cameos from a lot of non-DC iconic characters.
Yeah.
Including one who was originally played by Ray Fiennes. But here they got Eddie Izzard, I think. And it is a super funny movie. Like,
awesome.
They're definitely. Did you see the Lego movie?
I did see the Lego movie. I actually saw it twice.
Yeah. Like that is a very much fast, ADD enabled movie.
Me and Serena were kind of bombarded with a lot of films that were coming out. A lot of very, very, very super serious films like 12 Years a Slave that was out. And we were like, we walked into the theater and we were like, it is our social justice obligation to watch this movie. And then we looked at the bottom and it said, Lego movie is out at 4:00. And we were like, we're doing this shit. We're seeing Lego movie. And was that a better decision? Because we felt we felt a little happier coming out of that film at that point.
I think most people probably feel a little happier coming out of Lego movie than they were coming out of 12 Years a Slave. If you felt the opposite, I don't want to be friends with you.
Yeah. But, we had it's really surprising that, man, I forget their names. The directors who did. I'm sorry?
Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
Yeah, they're the guys
behind Clone High, Cloudy Chance Meatballs, and the 21 Jump Street movies.
I actually didn't see 21 Jump Street,
I haven't seen them, but I heard they're good.
Yeah, but Cloudy with a Chance and Meatballs came out around the same time, a little after or a little before Up, and I skipped out on the Cloudy with a Chance and Meatballs and went to and I liked Up, but Cloudy with a Chance and Meatballs is my kind of film. Like, I actually prefer Meatballs over Up.
I prefer Up overall, but I think Cloudy is one of the best visual styles I've ever seen in a CG film.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna. I
know you're not dissing Up.
Yeah, I'm not dissing Up at all because it has one of the greatest montages of all time.
I'm the only person who didn't cry at Up or Toy Story 3.
But honestly, I've met a couple of other people who have not cried either, and they're like, "It's okay, I don't have a soul." I'm like, "I'm not judging you, man. It's all right. It's all good."
I did cry at Inside Out and Finding Dory, though. So
I think I'm all cried out after Land Before Time and Lion King. I think my quota was met.
We talked about that one on our aborted recording.
Yeah, I was scarred early. It's cool.
Lamp for Time is grim. I remember when I watched it for the first time, I was like 5 or 6 with some neighbors, and like during the mother deaths, and they're like, "Oh my God, she's bleeding! Look at her neck."
Yeah, but Yeah, I'm like, Jesus. But I'm off on the tangent.
Yeah, but go ahead.
But Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs was my kind of film and made me fall in love with those two guys.
Yeah.
So when the Lego Movie came out, I knew who was behind it.
I was hopeful. I was skeptical, but I was like, they could do something good with it, and they did.
Yeah, and they did excellent. So I'm glad. I'm glad that tradition of using that kind of comedy is still alive and well.
Yeah, and they didn't direct Batman. They produced it, but I think the Lego movies could be in capable hands if this is any indication, because when they announced like a week after the Lego movie blew up, okay, Lego Batman, Lego Movie 2, Lego Ninjago, I'm like, oh no, you're milking it. This could fall apart, and it still could.
Yeah,
we got the Ninjago teaser in front of it, and I actually think it looks pretty funny. It looks. I didn't know anything about Ninjago other than like Eastern fighting, so I didn't expect it to be like a Power Rangers type thing that it apparently is. But the teaser had some very funny jokes, and it could be good, and so could Lego Movie 2. And even if they aren't, I'm happy Lego Batman turned out as well as it did, and I recommend you see it whether you enjoyed the first Lego Movie, or if you just like Batman, because it's very standalone. There are no real callbacks in terms of plot to the Lego Movie.
Yeah, they seem to be their own thing, which is good.
Last thing I'll say about it, which I think I told you, I really love the fact that the Joker's scheme in this is legit a gay unreturned crush, because basically he isn't about trying to cause chaos and stuff like he usually does. In the end, he turns out, you've seen it in trailers, Batman just doesn't respect him and is like, you're not my arch enemy, you mean nothing to me. And there's a part where like he confronts him like, Batman, I hate you, I just want you to say you hate me.
Nice.
And then at the end, there's a part where they get up close, and I swear it looks like they're about to make out, but instead Batman just, Joker, I hate you. They did it on purpose, and I love that. So yeah, Lego Batman movie, it's great, and go see it while it's still in theaters or on DVD or Blu-ray. Now, Chris, I know there's another thing you want to talk about.
Yeah, there's this. Me and Serena and a couple of our friends have been keeping an eye on this little anime on Crunchyroll called Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid.
However, I can certainly let you know one thing I like. It's you. I love you, Miss Kobayashi.
You gonna eat me?
No, not like that. Like sexually.
I'm not into women or dragons.
And it's made by Kyoto Animation. It's one of my favorite anime studios out there. They've done K-On! They've done
Lucky Star, Haruhi, a lot of stuff since then. Yeah,
Sound Euphonium. A lot of visually adorable and super fluid animated stuff. Yeah. So when we caught Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, a crazy, charmingly funny show, me and Serena were pretty much hooked like on the outset. So it starts off as this regular, I guess, programmer named Miss Kobayashi. She's like, I guess, late 20s, early 30s, something, living on her own. Basically just lives like a very calm and solitude life, and just going to her job and coming back to her apartment. And then one day a dragon shows up and wants to be her maid. It turns out that Miss Kobayashi got dumbass drunk one night and met a dragon who had a sword in her back. And somehow, they haven't explained this yet. They've only aired up to episode 8 at this point. Somehow Miss Kobayashi has freed the dragon from her mortal wound of being stabbed with a big-ass sword. So naturally, as natural as anime goes, the dragon falls in love with her and wants to become her maid. And there's a lot of crazy shenanigans that ensue. And I hate to use that term because it's thrown around so lightly nowadays, but that's exactly what this show is. It's just a bunch of dragons trying to get used to the human world and being able to not even survive, but just to cope.
Chris, I'm going to drop a bombshell on you. I watched the first half of the first episode of this.
Oh, really?
Looked into it a little more.
Okay.
Okay, and I will just say, if you ever want to pick it for full review, I'll do it. But it is a very Japanese humor show. A lot of boob jokes, a lot of crazy, fan servicey stuff.
Yeah, it's very... Which is kind of surprising because I haven't really seen Kyoto Animation do a lot of this kind of cheesy fan service stuff, which they don't go over the... I can't.
First thing I've seen the show without knowing it. It was on Tumblr. It was a GIF of Quetzalcoatl, the green-haired dragon.
I have issues.
It's one of those characters with breast the size of her head, and like it is a funny gif on its own because she's walking towards this kid with like a volleyball. Yeah, and the kid is flipping out like, oh god, he does not know how to process this.
That scene is hilarious. Like, okay, all right, there are parts. All right, so there are points when the show's there's going to be some spoilers here, so just be mindful of that. There are points when the show kind of sets up that there's like a backstory that if the dragons go out of control, they can actually destroy the world. Oh. And there's one episode where they basically take away the saturation from the scene. They show flash forwards of what's about to happen. The main cast is all damaged on the ground. There's a bunch of bodies everywhere. Miss Kobayashi is watching all the carnage. She's like, this happened 2 days from now. And then, you get to the 2 days and it turns out one of the dragons has just suckered themselves into getting into a dodgeball match. So all 5 dragons show up against these poor high school students. Yeah, high school kids who unfortunately get the shit kicked out of them in dodgeball.
That's funny though.
Yeah, and it's hilarious. And of course, and I mean, at some point, like the kids run off, and the dragons are like, "We're not done. Like we're still kind of pumped up. We got adrenaline running. We got to keep this shit going." Mm-hmm. And so they just let loose with the fireballs and the Hadouken dodgeball cannons, fire breathing out the mouths, and of course Quetzalcoatl like bouncing around their big ass titties. That's exactly what this show is.
That's exactly what the character is. You're not lying.
Yeah, and we honestly, that was one of the show's high points. I have a lot of fun watching this show.
Yeah.
In the first half. Of what's been shown on Crunchyroll so far.
I will say, go ahead, you first.
Yeah, however, I do have a few issues with the fan service. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I love fan service.
I only like it if they do something clever with it.
Yeah, well,
I want to tell you, I watched a little bit of that. What's that one like something G Chan? It's like that like high school girl, like Hello Gak Chan or something. Have you heard about that? Oh, I can't remember the episode, but it's like this busty high schooler who is actually very oblivious to a lot of things. So I watched like the first part of the first episode, and it's really funny because like she comes in looking all hot, and she's really tired during school, and everybody's like, oh, she's probably out on a date or something. And then she walks over to her other friend who's like this withdrawn nerd, who goes like, hey, here's the anime box set. What, you marathoned it all in one night? Yeah, I cried. But I did look to see a clip of Dragon Maid that made me go, oh no, it's the Let's Play Twister scene.
Yeah. Oh. And, I'm gonna get into that.
Yeah, you bring in the kids. I'm not.
I do like fan service, but there are times when anime takes it a little bit too far.
Oh yeah.
And it only works if it only serves the story, much like an action scene. Mm-hmm. And I had some issues coming over towards, I don't know, episode 6 or 7.
Yeah, I think it's
when I'm not going to spoil it at the moment, but there's a Twister scene, and let's see how I can word this.
Like
2 lolly characters, yes,
yeah,
I guess, 2 kids are playing Twister, and I'm not going to bad things don't happen, but suggestive things happen.
Yeah, one has the hot for another, and it's oof.
Yeah, and at first, the episodes leading to that, you just think that the 2 girls are, they're just good friends, and me or Serena are like, hey, that's cute, and maybe some good character dynamics would happen. No, that doesn't happen.
It's gonna get steamy in the wrong way.
it got pretty wrong, and you know what? At some point, you got to draw the line, and I'm like, I don't.
In Japan, there is no line.
There is no line in Japan.
But I know what I will say.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I watched the first half, there were still some. There's like I remember like the moment because the dragons they switch between being like huge like Godzilla-sized actual realistically drawn dragons and then shape shift into like normal cute anime human-sized characters. Mm-hmm. And so Kobayashi opens the door and the dragon's mouth is hanging over like the railing of her apartment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then it just immediately poofs into the ground. Like, oh, that's funny. Then quick shot of tits bouncing like, oh.
Yeah.
But something that might make me come back, like especially if you do choose to review it. I like the main character herself because she is this like apathetic, like disillusioned woman.
Yeah.
I love the fact that like at first she like the audience is like, I have no idea what you're talking about with your life crush and me liking me wanting helping you out. Then she flashbacks to her just being absolutely hammered and dogs are like, hey, stay with me, and it cuts back to her. Oh shit.
Yeah.
I like that.
Toru is the dragon maid to Miss Kobayashi, and Toru has a giant crush on
on and there's a great
character.
line like, no, it's sexual. I watched the dub, and she's like, no, it's like sexual love, and she goes, I'm not into women or dragons.
It's funny because the show actually has some pretty good character moments. Like there are times when the characters are talking about, you know, their supposed differences between being a human and being a dragon, and obviously Toru, being the dragon of chaos that she is, she's only known destroy humans before they destroy you, and now she's living with one, being in love with one, and trying to figure out and trying to come to terms with the fact that, well, she can't go back home to her family and let them know that she is in love with a human. She has to get used to all these human traditions, and for the most part, she's become more accustomed.
Is it supposed to be like a taboo in their world? Is it like,
I guess. I mean,
it's like interracial relationships in the 50s or something?
Yeah, it's something like that. I don't know. It's obvious. It's obvious that there are hard rules on what a dragon should do and cannot do. And discovering, or I'm not even going to say discovering, but having characters having dragon and human characters learn about each other is probably the most charming thing about this show. Okay. There's a side character named Fafnir, and he's this butler-looking, stoic, kind of a long-haired guy who wants nothing more than to be left alone and to destroy humans, until another human comes along and decides to start playing video games with him. And Fafnir becomes super obsessed with video games to the point where he moves in with this other character, and the two of them kind of strike an unspoken bond. Just playing games, and they live. And you know, this other character is like cooking him meals and like going to conventions with him. And Fafnir realizes that, you know what, I've had other human companions before. A lot of them have been misses, and I've kind of dealt with it. But this guy's a hit. I've had more misses than hits, and this guy, he's cool to hang around with. I don't have to I can still be on my guard, but he's not someone he's someone I can trust. Okay. And it's in those moments of trusting other characters that I find Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid one of the most endearing things I've seen since 2017 has started.
That's interesting.
I'm not gonna lie. This show's got some issues, and and coming back, all those endearing moments are completely destroyed like an episode or two later when it gets into like the stupid fanservice-y stuff, which I was really disappointed in. I had a lot.
It sounds like it's a really give or take show.
Yeah, it honestly is. Like the first 4 or 5 episodes, you can get away with and be like, cool, I don't have to watch any more of this show. But by the time the Twister scene happens and you meet Quetzalcoatl and her little Quetzalcoatl is a dragon with even bigger titties than the main character's Maid's titties. And she's befriended a little boy, and she's like, I don't want to say please, but she wants to educate this little boy as best she can. Oh, no. And yeah, she always uses those stupid titties of hers. And I like titties, but unfortunately, the show is like, after a really, really endearing moment with the show, and you're like, hey, that's kind of nice. The show kind of thinks it's funnier than it is and decides
it with some tit jokes.
Yeah. And it's not that good, specifically with that character. And that's where I'm like, I got to draw.
It's really funny because lately, an artist that I follow on Tumblr has been posting a ton of of adoration for Quetzalcoatl, just all these like gifs of her, like, oh my god, I found my waifu.
Don't get me wrong, she's a nice looking character, but if I'm going to watch a show, I kind of don't want it to insult my intelligence either. Yeah. Well, if you're going to have a character with big ass titties, just give her a personality or at least a backstory to back it up.
Yeah. Okay. I think we do need to get to our main topic with the time we have.
Sorry.
But I will say, you're welcome to revisit the show either in another opening segment or a review. Though I will say, like, fan service shows are what made me stop getting to anime for like 8 years.
Oh,
so
don't worry.
If you I guess 6 years. But so if you do pick more than one of them, please space them out for my sake.
Oh, definitely. I actually have another. I actually have seen a show that's better than that. That's actually really easy on the fan service, but we can talk about that later.
Just for the record, which one?
Interview with Monster Girls.
Oh, I think I've heard of it. There's a lot of Monster Girl stuff out there.
Yeah, this one actually is kind of smart with how it deals with the characters. But we can talk about that another time.
Can. I think it's time for us to get to our main review. So we're going to talk about something that I think you've been bringing up since we started the show.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Obviously, we've been meaning to get to it for a while. That is a very recent. Did it come out this year or late last year?
It came out late last year, actually.
Yeah. Anime, very short. I think like 12 episodes. Yuri on Ice, which I think we could definitely. It's part sports because figure skating, but it's very much. I'd say it's a dramedy.
Yeah.
Because it's very much a character study on its leads, its titular character in particular, and both the hardships and the silly moments that they go through in their journey. Chris, what led you to give Yuri a shot?
What led me to give Yuri a shot?
Yeah.
My wife. My wife. Yeah.
Cute boys?
Yeah, cute boys. Right. That's all you need. We she had seen some Tumblr art of it. She had some friends that were talking about it, and we saw it come out on Crunchyroll. And yeah, it was something.
This show has become a big deal.
It has.
It was. I feel like it's the latest anime to really kind of blow up and get a fan base, at least in the U.S.
That's exactly right.
I had heard of the name being thrown around for quite a while before I even really knew what it was about, and even before you started talking about it.
Oh, you're asking me to start talking about it, or
if you want to?
So let me think. I actually don't have.
Okay, I can set it up because I'm sure there are a lot of listeners who haven't watched it. Takes place in modern day Japan, and the titular character is Yuri. I don't remember his last name. He's kind of a rookie in the world of pro figure skating. Like it's been his passion, but I think when the show starts, he's just been eliminated from his first world championship.
He's in a bit of a slump. Yeah, honestly.
He comes home. He has gained weight, so he looks like me now. And he's very shy. He's very shy and unsure of himself. Like when he first arrives, there's some girls who are excited to see him, and he's just like, no, get away from me, no.
Yeah.
It's not even him being egotistical. It's just he feels like a failure and such, and he's gone back to his family's hot spring, and he's just hanging. And I also really like his coach, who's that like alcoholic 30, 40-year-old woman. I think the idea is she was a former pro skater herself, and now she teaches.
She was a ballerina, I think.
Oh, okay.
And she actually helps him out on one of his first challenges with his newest coach.
Yeah, and that would be Victor.
Yeah, saucy ass Russian Victor.
He's a very well established figure skater, and he's actually Yuri's idol. Like he's the one who inspired him to strive and get into it and such. And I think he kind of. Oh no! What happens is Yuri revisits an old friend's skating rink where he's hanging out with his friend. I thought it was so funny. Where it was like this one girl who he used to have hots for, and then she's already boned that one guy and had those 3 little hamster. Girls, and that's what they look like to me. They look like human hamsters.
Yeah,
and
they do.
He tries just practicing out a routine. The girls film it and post it. It goes viral because he's really good, and that inspires Victor to kind of just drop everything, come overseas, and say, Yuri, I still see a lot of potential in you. Let me train you. I think we got something going here. Yeah,
Yuri was just he was trying to. He was trying to like redo like one of Victor's most famous ice skating performances. Yeah. And it was the first time that he did it perfectly. Yeah. And unfortunately, those little hamster girls decided to record him doing it.
Unfortunately.
And their parents yelled at them as they should, and Victor saw it. So now The rest is history. Victor has become a coach.
There's also, we should bring up, he gets the nickname Yurio. There's another Yuri.
Yeah.
He's established himself in the first episode as kind of a prick.
Yeah, he's
emo,
a big.
He's the very angsty. When you get a well-meaning hero like Yuri, you got to have a antithesis in terms of someone who's a lot more moody and rebellious and just spiteful. And that's what one of the Hot Spring Workers nicknames him Yurio to differentiate him from other Yuri. And he's also Russian, isn't he?
Yeah, he is Russian. Yuri's sister actually walked in on Victor, Yuri, and Yurio having dinner. At their Hot Springs place. Yurio isn't named Yurio at that point, but regular shy Yuri's sister pops in. She sees a Russian Yuri and is like, "Oh my God, that guy's hot, but his name is Yuri. I'm gonna nickname you Yurio. Goodbye."
It's funny. She's the one with the most hot stream. I think there are points where like the family's watching their Yuri on TV, and she's still got like flags of Yurio. Like,
yeah.
She's like, "You're not my brother, so I can lust after you, I guess."
Yuri on Ice came as a big surprise for me because I watched it and I'm not big on romantic comedy anime, but I watched it and I liked the performances. I liked the initial episode, the initial first episode where the animation was super gorgeous, and the character dynamics between Yuri and Victor. Really, really cute, like really adorable.
It's not, at least from what I watched, it's not that heavy on the romance aspect, but it's there. I think the relationship kind of grows in an organic way, and it's funny because I didn't know going in that Victor and Yuri do end up together, and there was a point in like the second episode where like Yuri is showing Victor his room, and he falls over to like Victor, like grabs his chin, his shoulder falls, and like, oh man, I guess we're gonna get a lot of like homoerotic jokes. And it's like, no, it's actually building to something.
It's one of those things where you're expecting something to go, something to go in a different direction. It being an anime and all, especially with how Victor is first set up in the Hot Springs. He stands up, he's got his big glistening naked ass just standing there, and there's a statue that's framed just the right way, so you don't see
it's an Austin Powers moment.
You don't see anything special going on in the front. Yuri sees it, it's there, and Victor is inviting Yuri to come along on this surprising journey. However, it doesn't go in a sexual in that sort of sexual direction.
Not for a long time.
Not in a sense where it's Victor initiating the sexual response, but it actually becomes Yuri when he discovers or tries to realize the side of himself, the strong, confident side of himself that he's kind of neglected in his skating career.
And Victor has reawakened it.
Victor initiates a challenge between Yuri and Yurio in the early episodes where both skaters have to skate according to the opposite natures of a musical arrowsment. So
was this the Arrows competition, or is that a different one?
No, that is the Arrows competition. That's the early Arrows competition where Yuri and Yurio had to skate according to love and love and sexual love. Now, of course, Yurio is a super aggressive, super passionate guy, so of course he wants the sexual part of it. And Yuri's like, I just want the love. That's natural to me. I want to cuddle.
And it's funny. He can't find like something that really inspires him, and then he's having a pork cutlet bowl, and it hits him. Victor, this is what's going to inspire me. Victor's like, yeah, we can go with that.
He's like, yeah, whatever floats your boat, man.
That's kind of weird, Yuri, but hey, if it works.
Whatever works for you. And even still, and going back to Yuri's original coach, his ballerina instructor, he came to her saying that even with the pork cutlet bowl, there's only so much that I can do. I can't be the kind of sexual, the sexual man that I want to perform as, but maybe I can dance like the sexually confident woman that every man wants. And that's where he starts to find himself as the kind of skater that can skate according to that challenge. And that's kind of what that's I don't want to say that defines him, but that becomes the hook of what he decides to skate to for most of the series. And that was I thought that was actually sort of brilliant. And there are a lot of things about Yuri on Ice that I absolutely love from last year, and I thought it was a really surprising series. I do wish there was a little bit more conflict, but at the same time, it was still really comfy and really cozy.
It's more build up than conflict.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's getting you prepared for today's episode of Yuri skating, and I like that.
Yeah, and I'll lay my feelings out right now. I don't think this is one of the best anime I've ever seen or anything, but I think it's a pretty enjoyable little story. It feels very personal because its cast is so small and focused. And I also appreciate the fact that we've got an anime that got really popular that isn't like a genre thing. It's not some high sci-fi or fantasy or action. Yeah. It's like, no, it's a story about regular people.
It's not about
granted, they're kind of celebrities in their world, but they're still people. This is still kind of about them seeing them grow and change and get to know each other and go through conflicts and just be like a regular person. Because not many anime. Well, there are anime like that, but they never really get big for the most part. I know I mentioned to you one of my favorite. Well, the last anime I really got into was Welcome to the NHK. That's also very much. It's darker than Yuri for sure because it deals with people who basically have mental disorders like paranoia and shut-in syndromes. But it's very much, even though they have like hallucinations and fantasies, it's set in a real world. And I guess this kind of has that because it always threw me off when they get the random things like a little chibi Yuri popping up like, hey, let me clue you in on these terminologies. Just remember this is an anime.
Yeah,
and there are some also some funny faces. But that was the one part I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, there's so much about Yuri on Ice that I could. Okay, can we talk about like some of the other skaters for a second?
I didn't see all of them because I got to episode 10, but you can spoil whatever. I'm fine.
I'm as straight as they come, but holy shit, all these guys are super cute. I have to say, like,
it's Gladiolus all over again.
Yeah, like there's I forget the one of the skate. Hey, sweetie. Yuri's old friend that he skates with later, Pachitu. Yeah. I love Pachitu. I was about to say Pachito.
Wife help.
Pachitu is super adorable, and he has like one of the best songs, like in the entire show when he's skating.
There's some good instrumental tracks in this, and I really like the opening theme. It's very obviously a Japanese guy trying to struggle through English, but the actual tune is really powerful.
It's really catchy. And I see a lot of GIFs of Yuri and Victor online, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Facebook, and yes, whether it's Tumblr. I see it a lot, but I also see a lot of the love coming from that show and what it inspires in other people watching the show. And it's surprisingly poignant. Where a lot of these characters, they're well, I don't want to say a lot, but a few of the star characters are pretty uncomfortable with themselves. Even Victor, who's supposedly really confident and supposedly knows or gives off the impression that he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
When he's with Yuri, when Victor's with Yuri, sometimes he doesn't know what to do.
That's interesting because what I've seen so far, he's pretty much always calm and got an answer for everything. But I guess as it goes on, he's like, hey, I'm not perfect.
Yeah. Sometimes he gets it wrong.
He's very optimistic, but very encouraging. I love there are points where he just tells Yuri, "No, Yuri, that sucked. Do it again." But most of the time he's very complimentary and he's very encouraging of Yuri's efforts.
He's definitely a coach, but he's also learning how to be not only how to be a coach, but also how to be a decent friend and potentially an even better lover.
He hasn't been a coach before Yuri. He's just been an athlete.
Yeah, so. Later on, there are instances where Victor basically has to give Yuri an ultimatum, and he thinks that's the way to get to him by giving him
deadline.
Yeah, giving him a deadline and forcing him to do the very best he can, or else, and that wrecks Yuri.
He gets too stressed to do it efficiently.
Yeah, it happens for like an episode, and you think it's going to work because hell, it works in pretty much almost any anime ever.
Does it not work?
No. The poor kid starts crying, and I'm like, "Holy shit, Victor!" And I'm like, "You can't do that!" And he realizes just how messed up that was, and. The show is very very personal and very very cute, and it doesn't while I feel like it does pull some of its punches, it at least shows that while there may not be a lot of conflict, the conflict that is there is not about like petty arguments between two people, like how dare you not like me and not tell me your real feelings. It's holy shit, I may have gotten I don't know how to deal with this person. What can I do?
Yeah.
How can I change my approach so that we can learn together? And that's really what a relationship is. And I love that the show does that. Yeah,
and actually, speaking of just its significance overall, I guess it's not the first, but it's one of the biggest anime to legit revolve around a gay relationship, like not just for jokes or anything.
Yeah.
Because I found out recently, Japan, gay marriage is still not legal there at all.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's like it's not illegal to be gay or anything, but they've still been slower about full on accepting it compared to over here, and we still have work to do. But so I think a lot of people are considering you're like, hey, this show's success can be seen as a genuine step towards acceptance in culture.
I like that more. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, because I mean, when you think, I don't know if I brought this up with you. There are gay characters in anime, but they're often very exaggerated.
Yes,
Lee
definitely.
and Gurren Lagann, likable character, but super, hey, sweetie.
Yeah.
Have you watched Tiger and Bunny?
I've watched a couple episodes of Tiger and Bunny.
Fire Emblem, not the game. There's one superhero in Fire Emblem who you messed him up as gay Dennis Rodman.
Wow,
he's actually a very likable character. He's very supportive, but he's also like super flamboyant. And one of the sour spots in One Punch Man was the one gay guy who was basically like a would-be molester. I was like, oh
yeah. Honestly, that's the one thing about One Punch Man I didn't like. I felt that was a little. I felt that joke wasn't really that good.
No, it's so like I think Japan still is a thing. Definitely, we still do to a degree, but they still all about like kind of mocking gay characters when they do it. And Yuri, it's like we're not mocking Yuri and Victor. They're our leads. They're real, developed, flawed but good people. And that's kind of, and also I think it's good to have a gay character who you don't make super flamboyant automatically. Not to say that there aren't plenty of people like that, but it's not one thing. It's
the easiest thing to do to pull a Will and Grace and make the 1-star gay character the most flamboyant character you ever see.
And
in
not
contrast
to say you should
to the
never
other gay
do
character.
that. But you shouldn't just do that. I have a member of my family who is gay, and you would never guess it if you weren't talking to him. He's just if you can talk about it, he's just he comes off as a regular guy. Yeah. And actually, the other night I was rewatching one of my all-time favorite cartoons, Mission Hill, which if you've never seen that, or if you have, I want to cover that with you someday. It's a great show. Okay. I actually found out it had the first gay kiss on network television.
Oh wow!
And have you ever seen Mission Hill?
I have not.
Because it takes place in the apartment in the city, and two of the neighbors nearby are an elderly gay couple, like probably in their 60s or 70s, but they do it so well. They don't really make jokes that feel like it's laughing at gayness. It's kind of celebrating it, and they feel like such real characters, and it's also really funny. One of them kind of has it's actually voiced by Tom Kenny, and it looks and sounds like SpongeBob's dad in those few episodes where you saw him like, oh, hello, Mr. It's a very likable character. And then the other one is kind of looks like a stereotypical thug. Like he's big and bald and like growling like, hey, yo's. But it's still sweet how they end up caring for each other. And that one was that show never got the love it deserved. We'll talk about it someday because it's one of my all-time favorite shows. But that's one thing that I was ahead of the time with. And it's nice that we're getting more shows towards that and movies that are moving towards that, and Yuri may be a sign that Japan is starting to move in that direction too.
I really hope so. It's a smartly written show. I got some problems with it.
Okay,
mainly,
what are your problems? Because we've been praising it for a
while. I've already mentioned that that there's not a lot of conflict that happens in the show. Honestly, when I do watch the episodes, I'm really waiting for the most endearing moment to happen so I can go, "Aw!" And honestly, I kind of wish there was a little bit more to happen in that show, and maybe, having seen the entirety of season 1, hopefully in season 2 they may pull that. But it's from what I can tell,
confirmed.
I think so.
Okay.
I think given what we've seen so far, that's not the show style. So I'm not really going to knock it for that. However, my biggest complaint is kind of the animation.
I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, in episode 1, in any show, the best animation is going to be is going to be in the first episode, couple episodes in the middle, and the final few episodes. After the first episode here in Yuri on Ice, you see a lot of rotoscoping going on with a lot of the performances. Not to say that rotoscoping is bad,
but it stands out.
It does stand out, especially when certain characters are wearing a lot of drapery. The wrinkles kind of become distracting when they're doing twirls or when they're about to do certain stunts. It starts to look a little choppy. At the same time, when you're moving the camera in animation and you're seeing like the walls panning from left to right,
that's tough to do in 2D.
It's tough to do in 2D, so they do it in 3D, but usually those camera moves are happening on ones. And when you get to and the character animation itself is happening on twos.
Yeah.
So of course you're going to get like a kind of strobing effect going on.
That's always disorienting.
It can be.
It's even disorienting when you have CG elements in anime with a lower frame rate to try and match it, but there's so much more detail. There's still a feeling of dissonance, like with vehicles and stuff.
Well, a lot of animation pulls that kind of trick using ones on camera and twos for character animation. It's just to make the production a little easier. So you're not everything
it kind
at
of
once.
halves their production time.
Yeah, but there are times when it doesn't work quite well, and there were a few episodes, especially when they recycle animation from earlier episodes of Yuri on Ice, that it becomes extremely noticeable. So I'm hoping and I'm pretty sure they're going to fix this in season 2, that the animation goes a little higher in that regard.
Yeah, they might have been pressed for time.
Absolutely.
The anime industry is notoriously tough and stringent for its workers, but it's also a common practice. Has the show already been released on Blu-ray and stuff?
I don't think it's been released on Blu-ray, but since a lot of production companies have been pushing stuff on Crunchyroll and then television broadcast. Yeah. So there's a disconnect in. Sorry, you're probably.
It's become common practice for if a show has noticeable animation errors when it broadcast, by the time it's on home media, they clean it up. Sailor Moon Crystal was a big example of that. It had like some of the weirdest looking shots ever. When you look at but then you look at the home release, they were like, okay, let's go back and address this.
Yeah,
it's not optimal, but it's better than never touching them up.
Yeah, Sailor Moon Crystal is a strong offender. Dragon Ball Super is a strong offender. Jesus Christ, that show. But if the animation's not terrible, if nothing else,
very little about it stood out to me as bad, but it was for me it was kind of consistent, adequate. Mm-hmm. I can really think of moments that made me go like, "Whoa, that's really good." But the characters are expressive. The skating is pretty on point. It looks generally good. Just not.
Yeah,
it was dip in either way for me.
It wasn't super. It wasn't like super. Jarring or something that makes me go, I don't want to watch this anymore, because a lot of the scenes are composed well.
Yes.
It would have been different if it pulled a Dragon Ball Super and it crapped out, or the choreography's dumb, little stupid things like that. But the show itself is so emotional. It's so emotionally gripping.
Just emotionally driven.
Yeah. That's a better term for it. Actually, it's so emotionally driven that you're waiting for the great performances to happen, but the build up to certain characters getting closer together are more important than those ice skating performances.
Okay.
And I like Yuri on Ice a lot, and I'm hoping to see more of it.
Yeah, and I will stand by what I also said. It didn't blow my mind, but I think it's a good little show. Mm-hmm. I like the fact that an anime that feels so personal and not trying to be flashy has become a big deal. And I'm happy that we got a gay-centric anime that doesn't feel stereotypical or exploitative.
Yeah.
I mean, there are technically fan service parts, but
there's definitely. Have you met Chris?
No, but it doesn't really go into Dragon Maid territory.
Okay, yeah. There is. It doesn't go into Dragon Maid territory, but it gets a little crude when a certain ice skater named Chris comes along.
I'm gonna have to Google that, or just watch the rest of the show.
Oh boy!
And I will say, I've been watching the dub because I've signed up for Funimation streaming service. Mm-hmm. Really good. I can't speak to the authenticity of how good Victor's accent is compared to an actual Russian accent, but I did like that they got the voice of. You ever watch Case Closed?
Briefly. I didn't watch a lot of it.
They got Jimmy Kudo, the grown detective, to do his voice, which I thought was kind of neat. I didn't recognize the rest of the cast, and I looked them up because I know Funimation's kind of guilty of reusing a lot of actors, and these are ones I was less familiar with, so it's kind of nice to be throwing some new people or newer people. I'm sure they've done stuff before in this, and I think this would be a pretty good time to draw things to a close. We're approaching the time limit we were aiming for.
Oh yeah, we are. Okay.
But it's nice to get this going again. Thanks to everybody for putting up with that wait. I think I've already said this to Chris. We're going to be switching to a bi-weekly recording schedule. Before we were recording for weekly, but stuff got often get in the way of that too. I feel like bi-weekly would be a little more manageable. But Chris, so next week I'm going to be picking. Do you remember what I picked?
What? I actually don't remember what you picked. Sorry, the cats are jumping all over the crates.
Oh, what's your cat doing?
Sorry, the cats are jumping all over the place. I'm trying to make sure they don't knock anything down. Go on.
Cat
Sorry.
Interruptions. I will say next week for my current media, I don't know what you're going to do, but I did get this little thing called the Switch.
Get the... I almost swear. I almost dropped an F-bomb.
You can swear on the show. Huh?
All right, get the fuck out of here with your Switch.
Yeah. That's just a funny thing when there's so many podcast guests on other shows that curse a lot, and then the guest goes, "Is it okay if I swear?" It's like, yes. Yeah. Honestly, if it isn't, they'll edit it out.
Honestly, I forgot. I forget our own rules from time to time.
Yeah, we're not potty mouths, but if we want to, we'll swear. But I'm going to talk about the Switches, some of the launch games that I'm playing and reviewing, including Zelda. But my pick for our main review topic is I've been waiting for this. I've had the opportunity in the first episode, but I think I'm about ready to tackle both the movie that really got me interested in trying to animate and follow it, and legit my favorite movie ever. We are going to be doing the kind of well-known but not well-known enough movie, The Iron Giant.
Awesome. I can't
truly
wait.
Terrific film, and that I cannot wait to discuss in depth, even though I have the movie itself kind of like memorized because I love it so much. So that will do it for tonight. I'm John Fleury.
I'm Christopher Wade.
And we were born to make history.
Yes, we were.
We'll make history out of returning from a really good hiatus.
I'm going to go ice skating right now and break my ankles, and I'm not going to care.
Cool.
That's fun.
See you in the hospital.
See you guys.